Good evening. Also, tell the Wilmowski and Kessler families. I have to be honest with you. I really don't have time for these speeches. I really didn't have any time to write any speeches. Mirza Hashem, we're going to own some coming up in 3 weeks. This morning. We had a bris this morning. Showered with my daughter. I really do not have time for any speeches. But I tried to call Moshe Bennett to write a speech, but he's busy with this some excuse like that. So I ran into my builder in my house, Evan Gadak, and he wrote me a speech. I'm reading it, and a couple hours ago, it really didn't seem appropriate for me to talk about Ellie's love life. I really didn't want to comment on Ellie's mother. I didn't want to say I was attracted to Mrs. Wilmowski. So it's really not going to do Now, Ellie asked me to speak at Isaac's bar mitzvah, which I did. There's 3 of us, and Rona spoke, myself, and Howie Walter. Howie wasn't feeling so well, and Ellie asked me to speak at my bar mitzvah, and I prepared a speech. Unfortunately, because of COVID, it didn't happen in the same venue, and I didn't have the opportunity to speak at the bar mitzvah, which I feel bad about. So rather than waste a perfectly good speech, which would have been good at the time, I'd like to use this venue to give that speech because it is a simcha. And I'm sorry, Racheli and Ezra, you'll have to wait. I'm going away in June, but I'll be back for the 9 days. If you want to do it then, we can do it. If you want to leave with Sheva Brachos, we can do it. So I'm just going to give it. I'll try to modify it wherever possible, so please bear with me. Good Shabbos. Welcome to this special simcha. Here we are at the end of January celebrating with the Wilmowskis once again. I want to wish a big mazel tov to our bar mitzvah bacher, Chassan. This is a very special day for you, Chaim. It's universally accepted. Everyone knows the most important day of a man's life, by far, is the day you become bar mitzvah. Until, of course, you get married. The most important day. But bar mitzvah is really the most special day for those 8 or 9 years until you become chassan. So there's a little gap there. Really, to optimize it, you really should have gotten married the day of your bar mitzvah. Because this way you wouldn't have that whole hawk between, hey, you got bar mitzvah, married, you wouldn't have the gaps. That would have been ideal. We tried to work it out, but because of COVID, we couldn't find the appropriate shit on. I always like you, Chaim. You're such a sweet, honorable young man, that our relationship is going to change over the next years. It's going to be more mature. However, just because you're a man responsible for Torah mitzvah, doesn't mean you still must always listen to your mother-in-law. Your mother is still the most important person you can listen to, mother-in-law, and nothing's going to change. As long as you remember that, everything will be fine. In this beautiful parsha, Ezra and Sarah B'Shalach, that we just read 11 weeks ago, there is a main theme, very strong relationship between all 3 parshas and these 2 simchas. So if anybody can tell me what that is, please let me know before tonight's over. I don't usually do this, but I like you. There's a couple predictions I want to make that would help you. Take all your bar mitzvah money and bet on the Chiefs. I guarantee they're going to win big. Brady has no shot. And an inside tip for everyone, again, whoever's planning to go to Orlando for Pesach, use bookings.com. It's the only reliable one. We have a big line of tonight's speakers. And our first speaker tonight is what I would call Ellie's little blonde brother Ellie never had. He's Ellie's Charusa. He's everything. Naftali Naftali and Ellie are attached at the hip, and if you stand around them long enough, you'll hear them solve the world's political problems, economic problems. They have all the answers to every single problem that goes on in the world. We just have to stand around long enough. Now, if only we can get Democrats to listen to them, we would be in much better shape. That being said, we'd like to call upon Naftali for the only serious part of tonight's evening.
See how serious this will be. Welcome everyone to Racheli and Ezra Sheva Brachos, also to Ellie, Rona, family, the Kessners, and most of all to Ezra and Racheli. I would also like to thank Ty Cohen and my wife Beth for putting all of this together. Having had the privilege of attending many Sheva Brachos in my life, I've heard many speeches over the years. Typically, when the friends of the parents of the new couple make the party, the speeches revolve around either showering effusive praise on the parents, perhaps with some poetic license to burnish their image in the eyes of the audience and the new chutanim and the married couple, or roasting them. I recognize some faces from the last show I attended here, so you know what I mean. Sorry. Now, I can roast with the best of them, but sorry to disappoint you. That is an impossibility for me due to the special relationship that exists between the Bennetts and the Wilhelmskis. It is imperative to mention, now without knowing the Kessners to the same degree, I know Yossi for many years, going back to the Shirim and Shai's house, and by extension their extended family, through Shai Megira and the Roths and others. They are super positive people that have a halo effect on those around them. More on that later. Perhaps this is a unique opportunity to be Makir Tov to the Wilhelmskis and simultaneously give over an impactful message to the Chassan and Kala. This is a short summary and by no means exhaustive. Also for reference, whenever I mention Ellie, it means Rona too, because there is no Ellie without Rona. Lesson number 1, don't overlook the obvious, or the answer is right under your nose. Ellie has had an enormous impact on my life. I believe our relationship really began about 17 years ago. I received a phone call to attend a meeting at some guy named Ari Cohen's house. You see, there was an influx of young people moving into our neighborhood, and of course, they were very dissatisfied with the shul options. Obviously, these self-important folks felt it was critical that we create a new shul that was befitting the illustrious self-appointed committee of founding members. There were several of these meetings, and as we came closer to securing a rabbi and location, I remember Ellie saying to me, "What about Columbia?" I said, "What's Columbia?" It was an existing shul, and we didn't need to start a new one. He asked if anyone had tried the Shal Shudashia there. That's how I ended up davening by Rabbi Chatzanov, which has had a tremendous impact on mine and my family's development over the last 2 decades. Lesson for the Chassan and Kala. When you're searching for answers, stay close to home. The answer may be right under your nose. Or, just invite Ellie to your meeting. Lesson number 2, do not underestimate your potential. Sometime thereafter, Ellie asked me if I would be interested in learning Daf Yomi with him. Now let me tell you, I was definitely not interested. The daily commitment was just too much. He literally begged me. He said, "Let's do one Masechta." He basically forced me into it. Now that was about a dozen or so years ago, and we haven't stopped. In fact, we grew into a chabura that includes several guys here and my 2 older sons. This all emanated from Ellie's insistence that I learn with him. Lesson to the Chassan and Kala. You can accomplish anything. Sometimes you just need to push. Perhaps you just need to take baby steps. Don't underestimate yourselves, or just call Ellie. Lesson number 3. Hakaras HaTov is everything. As life has progressed, I have realized how true the statement is that man plans and God laughs. We have to be so thankful for everything we have. There's a sensitivity that I know that the both of you have that you should continue to focus on and develop. You will build a life together and see how things frequently just fall into place. Many times you may work towards a goal that doesn't happen the way you expected, and instead something great you never expected seems to fall out of the sky right into your lap. Always be thankful to each other and to Hashem. Increase that level of sensitivity. I hope Ellie doesn't get upset that I mentioned this, but I think it's okay. He told me how important it was to him that he was Makir Tov to use Nuba Chutanim on what a gem of a son-in-law he was getting in Ezra. I mean, this takes sensitivity to a whole new level. Lesson to Chassan and Kala. Be thankful and complimentary to each other. Recognize the good that you have every day. And if you need positive reinforcement, just call Ellie. But things will not... But things will not always be easy. I apologize. I know this was a running theme in other speeches up until now. But I think it's a fair thing to talk
It's
about.
really going to be hard, huh?
Things will not always be easy.
You don't always have to believe
There will always be ups and downs. There's a saying I love that I picked up this year that has really resonated with me. And I know the Kestners are a musical family, so perhaps it will resonate with them as well. Life is like a song. A song has to have high parts and low parts. Without both, it's not a song. It's nothing. It's just a laugh. But with both, you can create a beautiful melody. Something for you to keep in mind as you embark on this journey together. Therefore, my bracha to you is something Ellie reminds me of every year. The first night of Rosh Hashanah, we wish everyone Lashana Tova U'Masuka. You know what I'm going to say? Okay. A good and sweet new year. If you are wondering about the relevance of Rosh Hashanah, it's actually quite simple. This is the start of something new. So why is it necessary to be good and sweet? Isn't that redundant? If it's good, isn't it sweet? The answer is that we know that life has ups and downs. Perhaps Hashem is going to send something our way that we don't particularly want to receive. We know we are not always going to have just good. Like a song, there will be high parts and low parts. The bracha is, if that when a low part comes along, as it inevitably will, please make it sweet and easy to handle. That's my bracha to you guys. Not only l'shana tova u'masuka, but l'chayim tova u'masuka. And by the way, where's Chaim? Your great times should be great, and the not so great times should be nothing other than opportunities for your relationship to grow stronger. How do you accomplish that? Let's wrap up the lessons. Be Makir Tov. Realize and actualize your potential. And the answers are right under your nose. Your family is everything. I only do this by mine. The Wilimowski side, immediate and extended, as well as the previously mentioned Kestner side, immediate and extended. They will always be there to motivate you, support you, and elevate you. Appreciate that, cherish that, leverage that, and you will ultimately build a beautiful addition to the entire Klal Yisrael, furthering the forthcoming of Mashiach and the Binyan Aliyah.
Amen. Beautiful.